Commander Lee J. walked into the huge meeting room on the space station high above the planet Nexus Prime. The room was so big that his footsteps echoed against the metal walls. Around him sat creatures from dozens of different worlds. Each one looked strange and scary in their own way. Some had blue skin like the Valdorians. Some looked like giant insects like the Chrythons. Others had scales or tentacles or eyes that glowed in the dark. Lee J. took his seat at the small table marked with Earth symbol. He looked around and saw that his table was much smaller than the others. It was placed far from the center of the room where the important aliens sat. This was how things always worked in the Galactic Council. Humans got the worst, seats the smallest voice and the least respect. Ambassador Park. So Young sat next to him. She was the best translator Earth had, but even she looked tired today. Her job was to turn alien words into human language. But lately those words had been getting harder and harder to hear. The aliens did not try to hide their feelings about humans anymore. They spoke about Earth people, like they were talking about animals or machines. The meeting started when a tall creature with purple skin and 4 arms stood up. This was Council Leader Zoth, and he controlled everything that happened in these meetings. His voice was deep and cold when he spoke. Today we will discuss the human situation. He said the other aliens made clicking sounds and growls that meant they were excited. Several creatures stood up to speak, and none of them had good things to say about humans. A Valdorian with bright blue skin spoke first. The humans are useful workers, but they ask for too much payment. They want the same wages as real citizens. This is not acceptable. We need them to work harder for less money, Park. So Young translated these words for Lee J., but her hands were shaking. She had been doing this job for 10 years, and it never got easier to hear her own species being insulted. Next came a Chrython that looked like a giant ant with sharp teeth. It clicked its mouth parts together, making a sound like breaking glass. Humans are too emotional, it said. They get upset when we give them dangerous jobs. They complain when their friends die in the mines. This shows they are not ready for real responsibility. More aliens stood up to speak, and each one had worse things to say. A creature with tentacles said humans were too stupid to understand advanced technology. A lizard-like being said Earth should be grateful for any scraps the Council gave them. A floating blob covered in eyes said humans bred too fast and needed to be controlled. Lee J. felt his anger growing, but he kept his face calm. This was not the first time he had heard these insults for 50 years. Earth had been part of the Galactic Council. For 50 years, humans had been treated like servants and slaves. Human miners worked in dangerous asteroid fields, while alien supervisors took all the profits. Human soldiers fought in galactic wars, while alien generals got all the glory. Human scientists made discoveries that helped alien worlds, while receiving almost nothing in return. The breaking point came when Counselor Vex stood up to speak. Vex was huge even for his reptilian species. He had scales that changed colors when he was angry, and right now they were turning bright red. His yellow eyes looked down at the human table with disgust. "Have a solution to the human problem," he said in a voice that sounded like grinding stone. "Earth has too many people and not enough useful skills. We should take half of their population and spread them across our worlds as workers. This will solve their overpopulation problem and give us the labor force we need." The room exploded with alien sounds that meant approval. Creatures clicked and hissed and roared their agreement. Several aliens stood up to clap their hands or tentacles or whatever they used instead of hands. Lee J. could not believe what he was hearing. They wanted to take 2 billion humans and make them slaves on alien worlds. They were talking about breaking up families and destroying lives like it was a business deal, Park. So Young was translating as fast as she could, but tears were running down her face. She had a daughter back on Earth, and the thought of losing her to alien slavery was too much to bear. Counselor Vex continued speaking. "The humans should be grateful for this opportunity. Many species would pay good money for workers who can survive in harsh conditions. Humans are perfect for dangerous jobs because they reproduce quickly. When some die, we can always get more." That was when Lee J. stopped listening to the words and started thinking about the message he could send. The device in his pocket was connected directly to Earth through quantum communication. No alien technology could block it or trace it. President Kim Min was waiting for his signal. She had been waiting for years. Jay thought about his childhood on Earth. He remembered playing in parks and swimming in oceans that belonged to humans. He thought about human music and human food and human laughter. He thought about all the things that made Earth special and how the aliens wanted to take it all away. Slowly, he reached into his pocket and pulled out the small communication device. It looked like a simple metal coin, but it contained technology that could change everything. Jay had helped design it. During his secret visits to hidden human laboratories, the aliens thought humans were too primitive to build advanced technology. They had no idea what Earth had been working on in secret. The device had only one button. When pressed, it would send a coded message across space to Earth. The message was simple, but it would start something that could never be stopped. Operation Independence is authorized. Jay looked around the room one more time. He saw aliens discussing how to divide up human families like they were trading cards. He saw creatures who had never worked a day in dangerous conditions deciding that humans should risk their lives for alien profit. He saw beings who lived in luxury while humans struggled to survive, making plans to take even more from Earth. His finger moved to the button back on Earth. President Kim Min sat in her office deep underground beneath the city of Seoul. She was not alone. Dr. Choi Bin stood nearby checking readings on a dozen different screens. Engineer Nam Hyuk was running final tests on equipment that had taken decades to build. General Park Tae was coordinating with military bases around the world. All of them were waiting for the same signal. When it came, the small device on President Kim Min's desk flashed once. She looked at the message and smiled. It was time to show the galaxy what humans could really do. She pressed her own button, and across Earth, thousands of hidden facilities came to life. Secret laboratories that aliens never knew existed started their final preparations. Weapons that could change the balance of power in space were loaded onto ships that moved faster than anything in the alien fleet communication networks that operated on frequencies aliens could not detect. Began coordinating the largest operation in human history. The aliens in the council chamber continued their debate about enslaving humanity. They had no idea that their time as masters of the galaxy was about to end. They thought humans were weak and primitive and helpless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Jay stood up from his small table and walked toward the exit. Behind him, aliens called out, demanding to know where he was going. He did not turn around or answer their questions. Instead, he smiled and kept walking. The universe was about to discover what happened when you pushed humanity too far, and it was going to be a lesson the aliens would never forget. Captain Yu Da-hee stood on the bridge of her ship, the Seoul Dream, watching the screens that showed hundreds of human workers moving through the dark corridors of the Andorian mining station. The workers looked tired and scared, but they moved quickly. They knew this might be their only chance to escape the nightmare that had been their lives for the past 5 years. The mining station orbited a gas giant in the Andorian system. Humans had been brought here to work in the toxic atmosphere, processors that no alien wanted to touch. The work was dangerous and many humans had died, but the Andorians did not care. They said humans were cheap and easy to replace. Yu Da-hee checked her instruments again. Her ship was invisible to alien sensors, thanks to new cloaking technology that Earth scientists had developed in secret. The aliens thought they knew everything about human capabilities, but they were wrong. Humans had been watching and learning and building for decades in the cargo bay. Below her feet, 300 human families waited in silence. They had packed only what they could carry, leaving behind everything they had built on this alien world. Most of them had been born here and had never seen Earth, but they knew it was better than staying under alien rule. The communication device on her control panel buzzed with an encrypted message from Major Kang Woo back on Earth. All extraction teams report ready for Phase 2. He said, Operation Independence is proceeding. On schedule. Yu Da-hee smiled. She had been waiting for this day since she first joined the secret human resistance movement. 20 years ago, she had been just another pilot flying supply runs between alien worlds. Now she was part of the largest rescue operation in human history. Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Human workers on alien planets were disappearing from their jobs without warning. Research stations went dark as human scientists packed up their equipment and Vanished mining operations stopped working as human crews abandoned their posts. Transportation networks failed as human mechanics and engineers walked away from their duties. The aliens noticed something was wrong, but they did not understand what was happening. At first, they thought it was just another human protest that would end when the workers got hungry. But as hours passed and more humans disappeared, they began to realize this was something much bigger. On the planet, Kepler, 7 Ambassador, Park Min watched alien security forces searching empty human residential areas. The aliens were confused and angry. They kept asking where all the humans had gone, but no one could give them answers. The human districts that had been full of life, just days before now, stood empty like ghost towns. Park Min had been working undercover for years, pretending to be a simple diplomatic aide while actually coordinating resistance activities. Her real job was to gather intelligence about alien military capabilities and send that information back to Earth. The aliens trusted her because they thought humans were too stupid to be spies. She activated her hidden communication device and sent her final report to Earth. All intelligence gathered alien defense codes transmitted human extraction from Kepler 7 complete. The message would reach Earth through quantum channels that aliens could not detect or intercept. Meanwhile, Captain Li Bo was piloting his stealth transport through the dangerous space lanes near the Krython homeworld. His ship carried 200 human engineers who had been forced to maintain alien weapon systems. The Krythons had treated these humans like slaves, making them work 16-hour days without proper food or medical care. As Li Bo guided his ship away from Krython space, he thought about all the alien technology his passengers had studied over the years. The Krythons thought they were just using human labor, but the human engineers had been learning. Every circuit diagram, every weapon specification, every defensive system had been memorized and transmitted back to Earth. The Great Evacuation was not just about saving human lives. It was about gathering every piece of alien technology and tactical information that humans had been secretly collecting for decades. Human workers had been placed in the most sensitive positions across the galaxy, not because aliens trusted them, but because aliens thought they were too primitive to understand what they were seeing. Dr. Song Nari had spent 15 years working in alien research laboratories, studying technologies that were supposed to be beyond human understanding. The aliens let her handle dangerous experiments because they did not care if she got hurt. What they did not know was that she had been copying everything, recording every procedure, and sending detailed reports back to Earth. As her rescue ship carried her away from the Vegan science complex, she clutched a small device that contained the complete technical specifications for alien shield generators, faster than light engines and quantum communication systems. The information in her hands was worth more than entire star fleets back on Earth. President Kim Min watched the massive coordination effort from her command center deep beneath Seoul. Thousands of screens showed the locations of human populations across the galaxy. Each screen showed groups of red dots that slowly turned blue as rescue operations succeeded. The scale of the operation was incredible. Over 2 million humans lived and worked on alien worlds, and Earth was trying to bring them all home in just a few days. It required perfect timing, advanced technology, and incredible courage from everyone involved. Engineer Nam Hyuk monitored the performance of the new human ships that were making the rescues possible. These vessels used propulsion systems that aliens had never seen before. They could travel faster than any alien ship, and their cloaking devices made them completely invisible to alien sensors. The ships also carried weapons that could destroy alien vessels in seconds, but Nam Hyuk hoped they would not need to use them. Yet the plan was to complete the evacuation before aliens realized what was really happening. Unfortunately, that plan was about to change. Admiral Rex of the 5th Alien Fleet was not like other alien commanders. He was smart and suspicious, and he had been watching human activities for weeks. When he saw the pattern of disappearing humans, he immediately understood that something coordinated was happening. Rex gathered his fleet of 300 warships and moved to intercept what he thought were defenseless human transport ships. He had fought many battles against primitive species and always won through superior technology and firepower. He expected this to be another easy victory. His target was a group of human ships near the edge of the galaxy, carrying refugees from the Proxima colony. The ships appeared to be moving slowly and were not responding to his demands for surrender. Rex smiled as he ordered his fleet to surround the human vessels. This would be a perfect opportunity to show the galaxy what happened to species that tried to defy alien authority. He would capture the human ships, destroy a few as examples, and send the survivors back to their alien masters. The message would be clear. Humans belonged under alien control, and anyone who helped them escape would face similar punishment. His fleet moved into attack position. Rex opened a communication channel to the human ships. "Attention human vessels," he said. "You are ordered to surrender immediately and return to your assigned worlds. Any resistance will result in the destruction of your ships and the execution of your crews." The response came from the lead human ship, and the voice that answered made Rex pause. It was calm and confident in a way that surprised him. "This is Captain Lee Bo of the human vessel, Incheon Thunder. We have received your message." Admiral Rex was confused. How did this human know his name and rank? Captain Lee Bo continued speaking. "Your fleet is outnumbered and outgunned, Admiral. We strongly advise you to withdraw from this area immediately." Rex laughed. The human captain was obviously insane. His 300 warships surrounded maybe 20 human transports. How could the humans possibly think they were outnumbered? That was when Rex sensors began detecting something impossible. More human ships were appearing on his screens. Ships that had been invisible were suddenly becoming visible. Ships that were much larger and more heavily armed than any transport vessels should be. Within minutes, Rex found himself looking at a complete human battle fleet waiting in perfect formation. The ships were sleek and dangerous looking with weapon systems that Rex did not recognize. At the center of the formation was a massive vessel that dwarfed even Rex's flagship captain. Lee Bo's voice came over the communication channel again. "Admiral Rex, you now have 30 seconds to order your fleet to withdraw. If you do not comply, we will consider your presence here an act of war against humanity." Rex stared at his screens in disbelief. How had humans built a battle fleet without anyone knowing? Where had these ships come from, and why did their technology look so advanced? His answer came when the 30 seconds expired, and the human ships opened fire. The Battle of Kepler. Edge was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Rex stared at his command screens as the first human weapons fired across space. The projectiles moved faster than anything he had ever seen. They were not energy beams or plasma bolts like normal space weapons. These were solid metal rods that flew through space at incredible speed and hit his ships like hammers from the gods. His flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds, shook violently as 3 human projectiles punched through its shields and armor. The impact sent shockwaves through the entire vessel. Red warning lights flashed everywhere, and his crew scrambled to understand what had just happened. "How is this possible?" Rex shouted at his weapons officer. "Our shields should stop any primitive human attack." The weapons officer, a nervous Krythan named Zek, looked at his instruments with confusion. "Admiral, the human projectiles are moving at 90% light speed. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons, not solid matter moving that fast." Rex felt fear creeping into his mind for the first time in his long military career. He had fought against dozens of primitive species over the years. Always the pattern was the same. The primitives had simple weapons that barely scratched alien hulls, while alien technology destroyed their ships easily. This was supposed to be another easy victory against helpless humans. Instead, human weapons were tearing through his fleet like it was made of paper. Captain Lee Bo watched the battle from the bridge of the Incheon Thunder. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Park Tae, was coordinating attacks with mathematical precision. Each human ship knew exactly where to aim and when to fire. The battle plan had been practiced hundreds of times in secret simulations back on Earth. Sir Park Tae reported, "Enemy flagship has taken critical damage. Their weapon systems are failing and their engines are losing power." "Should we move to finish them?" "Not yet." Lee Bo replied, "We want some of them to survive so they can carry news back to the Galactic Council. The aliens need to understand what they are facing." Lee Bo had studied every alien battle tactic for 20 years. He knew how they thought and how they fought. The aliens always relied on superior technology and overwhelming numbers. They never had to develop real strategy because their enemies were always weaker. But humans had been preparing for this moment for decades. Human scientists had studied alien weapons and designed better armor. Human engineers had built faster engines and more accurate targeting systems. Human tacticians had learned from every alien victory and figured out how to turn their own methods against them. The battle was not just about better weapons, it was about better thinking. Commander Yoon Jin led a squadron of human fighters in a complex attack pattern that confused the alien formations. His small ships moved in ways that alien pilots could not predict, diving between larger vessels and striking at weak points that alien designers never thought to protect. The human fighters used a tactic called swarm attack that came from studying Earth insects. Each fighter was relatively weak alone, but together they could bring down much larger ships. They moved like a school of fish or a flock of birds, with each pilot responding instantly to the actions of others. Alien pilots tried to follow the human movements, but their ships were too big and slow. The aliens had always built massive vessels designed to intimidate enemies. Human ships were smaller and faster, built for speed and maneuverability rather than size and show. Jin led his squadron in a diving attack on a Valdorian battlecruiser. The alien ship tried to track their movement with its main guns, but the human fighters were already behind it, striking at the engine compartments before the alien gunners could rotate their weapons. The Valdorian ship lost power and began spinning out of control. Its crew abandoned ship in escape pods rather than face the human weapons that were systematically destroying their vessel. Meanwhile, engineer Nam Hyuk monitored the performance of human technology from his position aboard the command ship Soul Defender. His screens showed that every human system was working perfectly. The new engines ran cooler and faster than projected. The weapon systems fired with accuracy that exceeded their design specifications. The defensive shields absorbed alien attacks and actually grew stronger with each hit. This was the result of 40 years of secret development. While aliens thought humans were primitive, Earth scientists had been revolutionizing technology in hidden laboratories. They had taken alien science and improved it in ways the original creators never imagined. The most impressive human innovation was adaptive shielding. When alien weapons hit human ships, the shields analyzed the attack and instantly modified their frequency to provide better protection. The more aliens shot at human vessels, the harder they became to damage. Dr. Choi Bin had designed these systems based on his study of human immune systems. Just as human bodies learned to fight diseases, the human ships learned to fight alien weapons. Each battle made the human fleet stronger and more resistant to enemy fire. Admiral Rex watched in horror as his 300-ship fleet was systematically destroyed by fewer than 50 human vessels. His communications officer reported that over half their ships had been lost, and the remainder were badly damaged. Admiral, a voice called from across the bridge. We are receiving a message from the human commander. Put it through. Rex ordered, hoping the humans might offer surrender terms. Captain Lee Bo. Face appeared on the main screen behind him. The wreckage of alien ships drifted in space like broken toys. Admiral Rex, he said, your fleet has been defeated. Your ships are destroyed and your crews are dead or fleeing. We could finish you now, but we choose to show mercy. Rex felt humiliation burning in his chest. No alien commander had ever been forced to listen to terms from a primitive species. Lee Bo continued, you have 30 minutes to gather your surviving ships and leave this system. Return to the Galactic Council and tell them what you have seen today. Tell them that humanity will no longer accept alien rule. Tell them that Earth is now an independent power, and any species that threatens us will face the same fate as your fleet. The communication ended, leaving Rex staring at empty space where his mighty armada had once been. Only 12 of his ships remained functional, and most of those were barely spaceworthy. His crew looked at him with fear and confusion. They had never seen their admiral defeated so completely. Rex gave the order to retreat. His surviving ships limped away from the battle site, carrying news that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. Back on Earth, President Kim Min received reports of the victory with mixed feelings. She was proud of what her people had accomplished, but she knew this was only the beginning. The aliens would not accept defeat easily. They would gather larger fleets and more powerful weapons, General Park Tay stood beside her reviewing casualty reports. From the battle, not a single human ship had been lost, only minor damage to a few vessels and no human deaths. The victory was so complete it almost seemed impossible. Madam President Park Tay said, "The aliens will not underestimate us again. They will bring everything they have in the next attack." Kim Min nodded. She had been preparing for this moment her entire political career. Earth had spent decades building defenses and weapons in secret. Now they would need everything they had created. And more, send word to all defense stations, she ordered. Activate Protocol 7 and begin final preparations. The aliens will return with a much larger force. We need to be ready for a real war. Across the galaxy, news of Admiral Rex defeat spread like wildfire. Species that had never questioned alien superiority suddenly wondered if the established order might be changing worlds that had been conquered centuries ago, began to whisper about rebellion and freedom. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session. Representatives from a dozen species argued in panic about how to respond to the human threat. Some wanted immediate nuclear bombardment of Earth. Others suggested negotiation and compromise. Councillor Vex dominated the debate with his calls for overwhelming retaliation. He demanded that every available warship be sent to crush humanity before other primitive species got similar ideas. His yellow eyes burned with rage as he described the punishments Earth would suffer within days. The largest fleet in galactic history began forming in space above the Krython homeworld. Ships from every member species of the Council joined the armada. Weapons designed to crack planets were loaded onto massive carriers. Battle stations, the size of cities, prepared to jump to Earth. The aliens were preparing to end the human threat once and for all. They had no idea that Earth had been preparing for exactly this response. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Chung Su studied intelligence, reports about the gathering alien fleet. His defensive preparations were nearly complete. Every human in the solar system knew their role in the coming battle. The siege of Sol was about to begin, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy what they could really accomplish when their backs were against the wall. Supreme Admiral Korth stood on the bridge of his massive command ship, the Galaxy Crusher, and watched thousands of alien vessels gather around him. Ships from every corner of known space had answered the call to destroy humanity, once and for all. The fleet stretched across space like a metal cloud blotting out the stars. Korth was the most feared military commander in galactic history. He had conquered 47 star systems and destroyed dozens of primitive civilizations. His ship alone was larger than most human cities and carried weapons that could crack planets in half. Today he would add Earth to his list of victories. The alien fleet began its journey toward the Sol system, with confidence born from 1,000 years of easy conquests. Korth expected to find a single defended planet surrounded by primitive space stations. Instead, he would discover that humans had turned their entire solar system into the most dangerous weapons platform the galaxy had ever seen. Admiral Chung Su sat in his command center buried 3 miles beneath the Pacific Ocean, watching screens that showed the approaching alien armada. His gray hair was neatly combed and his uniform was perfectly pressed, despite the fact that he had not left this room in 72 hours. Around him, hundreds of human officers monitored defensive systems that had been built in secret over the past 4 decades. Every planet, moon, and asteroid in the Sol system had been modified to serve as part of Earth's massive defensive network. Chung Su had studied every great military leader in human history, from Sun Tzu to Napoleon to modern tactical masters. He had learned that the best defense was not just strong walls, but the ability to strike back harder than your enemy expected. Mars had been transformed into a massive shipyard where automated factories produced new vessels every hour. The red planet's surface was covered with manufacturing domes that worked around the clock, building weapons and ammunition. Earth Moon housed defensive installations that could fire projectiles at incredible speeds across interplanetary distances. Even the asteroid belt had been weaponized. Thousands of space rocks had been hollowed out and filled with hidden gun batteries that could emerge without warning to attack passing fleets. The outer planets of Jupiter and Saturn concealed mobile defense platforms that could move at high speed to wherever they were needed most. When the alien fleet finally arrived at the edge of the Sol system, Korth was surprised to detect so much activity. His sensors showed ships moving between planets, manufacturing facilities working at full capacity, and energy signatures that suggested massive defensive preparations. "This is unexpected," Korth told his tactical officer, Commander Vash. "I was told that humans were primitive and unprepared. Perhaps they have been building defenses since the Battle of Kepler Edge." Vash replied, "The report said they had hidden technology we did not know about." Korth nodded, but he was not worried. His fleet contained over 3,000 warships representing the combined military might of 12 different alien species. Even if humans had some defensive capability, they could not possibly stand against such overwhelming force. "Send the surrender demand," he ordered. "Let them know they have one chance to avoid total destruction." The message broadcast across all frequencies carrying Korth's ultimatum to Earth. "This is Supreme Admiral Korth commanding the combined Galactic Fleet. You have exactly 1 hour to surrender unconditionally and submit to alien authority. Any resistance will result in the complete sterilization of your planet and the execution of your entire species." The response came from Admiral Chang-Su himself, and his calm voice surprised every alien who heard it. "Admiral Korth, this is Admiral Chang-Su of Earth Defense Command. We have received your ultimatum and we respectfully decline. Your fleet is not welcome in our system and we advise you to leave immediately." Korth laughed at the human audacity. One planet defying the might of the entire galaxy was beyond ridiculous. "Begin the attack," he ordered. "Show them what happens to species that refuse to obey." The alien fleet moved forward in massive formations designed to overwhelm any defense through sheer numbers and firepower. Their long-range weapons began charging, preparing to bombard Earth from a safe distance where human weapons could not reach them. That was when the first surprise revealed itself. Hidden gun batteries throughout the asteroid belt suddenly activated, firing coordinated salvos at the advancing alien ships. The asteroids themselves began moving, powered by hidden engines that allowed them to change position and angle of attack. Colonel Oh Min-ji led the first wave of human fighter squadrons that emerged from concealed bases on Europa and Titan. Her pilots had trained for years in the difficult conditions of space combat around gas giants. They knew how to use gravitational fields and magnetic interference to confuse alien targeting systems. The human fighters moved in complex three-dimensional patterns that the aliens had never encountered before. They struck fast at weak points in alien formations, then disappeared into the maze of moons and orbital debris that surrounded the outer planets. What made the attacks even more devastating was that human technology had improved since the Battle of Kepler Edge. The adaptive shielding systems now worked even better, and human weapons had been upgraded with new targeting systems that could track multiple enemies simultaneously. Major Kim Soo led a squadron of stealth bombers that attacked the alien command ships using cloaking technology that made them completely invisible. These ships could phase through solid matter, allowing them to appear inside alien formations and strike at point-blank range when the aliens tried to respond with their own fighter squadrons. They discovered another unpleasant surprise. Human defensive systems included automated gun platforms that could track and destroy hundreds of small targets at once. The alien fighters were shot down almost as fast as they could launch. Admiral Korth watched his carefully planned attack dissolve into chaos. His formations were being broken up by attacks from directions he had not expected. Ships were being destroyed by weapons that appeared from nowhere and disappeared just as quickly. Most disturbing of all, human defensive technology seemed to be learning from each exchange. The same attack patterns that worked at the beginning of the battle became less effective as the humans adapted their responses. Dr. Choi Bin monitored the battle from his laboratory on Luna, where he continued developing new countermeasures in real time. His computer systems analyzed alien weapon signatures and automatically updated human defensive algorithms. Every few minutes, the human shields became more resistant to alien attacks. The tide of battle turned when Supreme Admiral Korth decided to use his ultimate weapon. The Galaxy Crusher carried a planet-killer device that could destabilize a world core and tear it apart from the inside. The weapon was designed to end wars quickly by destroying entire civilizations. With a single shot, as the massive cannon began charging, every human in the system received the same message from Admiral Chang-Su: execute Protocol 7. Immediately all units prepare for Soul Gambit activation. What happened next would be remembered as the most brilliant military maneuver in human history. Every human ship station and installation simultaneously activated hidden devices that had been built into their power cores. These devices created a resonance field that spanned the entire solar system. The resonance field interacted with the alien planet killer weapon in a way that no alien scientist had ever imagined. Instead of destroying Earth, the weapon energy was redirected back through the alien fleet. The same power that was meant to crack a planet instead overloaded every alien ship system simultaneously. In less than 10 minutes, the largest invasion force in galactic history became an expanding cloud of debris and radiation. The few alien survivors fled in terror, carrying news that would reshape the political structure of the known universe. Korth managed to escape in a damaged life pod, his mighty fleet completely destroyed. He had learned too late that humanity possessed technology that could turn any weapon against its user. The Galaxy Crusher drifted powerless in space, a monument to alien overconfidence, back on Earth. President Kim Min watched the battle results. With satisfaction, the Sol Gambit had worked even better than her scientists had predicted. Not only had they defeated the alien invasion, but they had done it without firing a single shot from Earth defenses. The message was clear to anyone watching. Humanity could defend itself against any threat and possessed the power to destroy entire fleets without warning. The galaxy would never again underestimate the species from the small blue planet. Admiral Chang Su began preparing his next moves. He knew the aliens would eventually try again, but now humanity had gained something even more valuable than victory. They had gained respect through strength and fear. The siege of Sol was over, but the real war for human independence was just beginning. Ambassador Yun Ha walked into the great meeting hall where the Galactic Council once ruled over countless species. The room was the same, but everything else had changed. The alien representatives who had once spoken about humans like animals now sat quietly in their chairs. Their eyes followed her every movement with a mixture of fear and desperate hope. Yun Ha had been Earth junior diplomat for 20 years, listening to aliens insult her species and watching them make decisions about human lives now. She represented the most powerful military force in known space, and every alien in the room knew it. The Valdorian representative stood first, his blue skin pale with nervousness. "Ambassador Yun Ha," he said in a voice that shook, "we wish to discuss trade agreements between our species. We believe humans and Valdorians can benefit from cooperation." Yun Ha looked at him calmly. She remembered when this same alien had suggested that human workers should be paid half wages because they were not real citizens. Now he wanted to be friends because he was afraid of human weapons. "We are willing to consider trade agreements," she replied, "but only between equals. Any species that wishes to work with humanity must treat us with the same respect they expect to receive." The Krathon representative clicked his mandibles nervously. "We understand completely," he said. "Our previous policies toward humans were based on incomplete information. We now recognize that humanity deserves full recognition as an advanced civilization." Yun Ha almost smiled at the careful words. The aliens were trying to pretend that 50 years of slavery and abuse had been just a misunderstanding. They hoped that if they spoke politely enough, humans would forget about the past and forgive their crimes. President Kim Min watched the diplomatic meetings from her office in Seoul through secure communication links. She had aged 10 years in the past few months, but her eyes were bright with satisfaction. Earth had gone from being the weakest member of galactic society to being its most feared power. The transformation had happened faster than anyone expected. News of the Sol Gambit had spread across the galaxy at light speed, carried by terrified alien survivors and intercepted communications. Every species now understood that Earth possessed technology that could destroy entire fleets without warning. More importantly, they understood that humans were no longer willing to be pushed around. Dr. Choi Bin worked in his new laboratory complex built inside a hollowed-out asteroid near Mars. His research teams were developing technologies that pushed the boundaries of known science. They had moved beyond simply improving alien technology to creating entirely new fields of study. The latest project involved devices that could manipulate matter at the quantum level, allowing humans to build materials that were stronger than anything in the galaxy. They were also working on engines that could fold space itself, making travel between distant galaxies possible in days rather than years. Engineer Nam Hyuk supervised the construction of humanity's first independent colony ships. These vessels were designed to carry 10,000 people to worlds beyond the reach of any alien government. They would establish human settlements that answered to no authority except Earth. The ships used technology that aliens could not track or follow. Once they left known space, they would be completely invisible to alien sensors. The colonies would serve as insurance against future alien aggression and as launching points for human expansion into unexplored regions. Admiral Chang Su planned the deployment of Earth's new military forces with careful precision. Human fleets now patrolled the space lanes that had once been controlled entirely by alien governments. They protected human merchant ships and enforced the new rules of galactic trade. Any alien vessel that threatened human interests would face immediate response from ships that could appear without warning and disappear just as quickly. The aliens had learned to avoid confrontations with human forces after seeing what happened to those who tried. The most dramatic change came when several alien species requested human protection from their former allies. The Centaurians had been loyal members of the Galactic Council for 300 years, but they secretly contacted Earth asking for help against Krython expansion into their territory. Captain Lee Jae commanded the human fleet that responded to the Centaurian request. His ships arrived at the disputed border just as Krython forces were preparing to invade. When the Krythons detected human vessels, they immediately withdrew without firing a shot. The message was clear. Earth would protect any species that treated humans with respect, while those who remained hostile would face the consequences alone. Colonel Park Tae established the first human military academy on Europa, where alien species could send their officers to study human tactics and technology. The courses were voluntary, but many alien governments quietly enrolled their best commanders, hoping to learn the secrets of human success. The academy taught more than just military strategy. It showed aliens how humans approached problems with creativity and adaptability, rather than simply relying on superior technology. The lessons were valuable for species that had never needed to think innovatively, because they had always been stronger than their enemies. Major Kang Woo led diplomatic missions to worlds that wanted to break free from Galactic Council control. These planets had been ruled by alien governments for centuries, but the example of human independence inspired them to seek their own freedom. Earth did not try to build an empire to replace the Galactic Council. Instead, they offered support and protection to any species that wanted to govern itself. The galaxy was reorganizing around the principle that every intelligent species had the right to determine its own future. The old system of strong species dominating weak ones was crumbling as more worlds chose independence over submission. Human military power made rebellion possible, while human technology made it sustainable. Supreme Admiral Korth sat in a prison cell on his homeworld, facing charges of military incompetence and cowardice. His defeat at the Battle of Sol had destroyed his reputation and ended his career. The warrior who had once conquered star systems was now a symbol of alien failure. In his cell, he wrote reports about human capabilities, trying to warn other alien commanders about what they would face if they chose to fight Earth. His writings described weapons that seemed impossible, tactics that defied logic, and a level of coordination that suggested humans thought about war in completely different ways. But few aliens wanted to read about their own weaknesses. They preferred to pretend that Korth's defeat had been a fluke, rather than face the reality that humans had become the dominant military power in the galaxy. President Kim Min addressed the people of Earth from her office, explaining the new reality that humanity faced. The galaxy was no longer a place where humans worked for alien masters. Instead, Earth had become a power that other species respected and feared. She announced the launch of the Great Expansion Program, which would establish human colonies in distant galaxies far beyond alien reach. These settlements would ensure that humanity could never again be threatened with extinction by hostile aliens. The first colony ships began their journey toward the Andromeda Galaxy, carrying volunteers who wanted to build new worlds under human authority. Admiral Lee Jae commanded the expedition fleet, using ships that could travel between dimensions, making them impossible for aliens to track or follow. As the colony fleet prepared to jump beyond the edge of known space, alien observers watched in silence from their monitoring stations. They were witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history, a species that had chosen freedom over safety, and won both. The departure of the human colonists marked the beginning of a new age in galactic politics. Earth had proven that advanced technology and superior numbers meant nothing without the will to use them effectively. Humans possessed something that aliens had forgotten: the determination to fight for their independence no matter what the cost. The Galactic Council building stood empty, its authority broken by a species that refused to accept the limitations others tried to impose. The Great Chamber, where aliens had once decided the fate of primitive worlds, now served as a museum, displaying artifacts from the age when strength alone determined who ruled and who served. In the vast silence between stars, the echo of humanity declaration still resonated across space. We surrender nothing, we take everything. And throughout the galaxy, intelligent species trembled as they began to understand what those words truly meant for the future of their civilization.